I created this artwork in January of 2025 for an art competition. The theme was the years 1905. What would you wear to the first Continental Congress being held in the newly built Memorial Continental Hall in Washington, D.C.? This piece is 42 inches by 60 inches, and it's in a medium I've been using for several years, where I extract the pigment and flower petals onto a silk canvas. I've never worked at a scale this large before or in such detail. The overall effect is like watercolor. I made two pieces. I wasn't happy with the sky in the first one, but I did love her dress. So I used the same design for both pieces. I chose to put her in the foreground of the building, standing on the ellipse, the same ellipse that the White House is on. Sketched out the designs, worked on the lettering. And the inspiration for the Belle Epoch lady came from the sporting fashion exhibit that was held at the Coomer Museum of Art in Jacksonville, Florida in 2024. I love this exhibit so much I went back the next day so I could make a YouTube video of it. The title for the lady is Promenading 1900 in her lovely silk dress. I had the pleasure of meeting Stephen von Porterfield at a historic preservation luncheon in July of 2024, and I'd like to think he contributed this beautiful feather hat to the exhibit. I imagine that my great-great-grandmother Marnie could possibly have attended the First Continental Congress and dressed in such a lovely way in her amethyst brooch. First, the artwork on plastic. Set the base on a heavyweight wood table. Plastic board to hammer on. Set the artwork down in place. And next comes the silk charmeuse canvas. I love working in this heavyweight fabric because not only is it strong, but it also holds the color very well over time. Flowers were chosen for their colors and tested for color fastness, how much the color spreads on the fabric, and how well the petals can hold the detail. First on both pieces, the blue delphinium sky. Put a patriot in the window in the pediment because it's considered to be their home. A lot of the architectural details are drawn to scale. The lettering has to be done in the reverse. Her skirt in crimson edge roses and deep red for the base. Peach roses for the details on the building, the doors, the windows, pediment. It's done in the reverse as well. Both sides gets double stick tape, one layer, single layer of rose petal cut out, taped to a template, and then this template is then taped to the larger artwork. I was so impressed with how well the rose petals held to being cut and taped. And once they're hammered onto the silk canvas, they didn't bleed into other areas of the design. They held to the design of the template. White rose petals for the limestone facade. I found that by layering the rose petals, I was able to create greater depth in the building. And sterling rose petals were used for the darker shadowing. able to rely on my architectural skills to draw some of the details of the building. I came to really appreciate the Beaux Arts genre of architecture and how much care was put into the detailing of the building. And I felt that the same design detail was also reflected in the clothing of the time, as can be seen in her lovely dress. White hydrangea for the green ellipse. If there's a little bit of coloring in the stem of a white hydrangea, it can produce this bright green color. It's all done on a solid tracing paper base with double stick tape. Tape to the base. A lot of care has to be taken around the bottom of the dress so that the pressing of the white hydrangea did not bleed into the existing skirt. There's quite a bit more moisture in the hydrangea than the rose petals. So it caused a little bit of buckling in the fabric that dried flat. And also a warm iron can be used on the reverse side of the fabric to smooth things out. Frame for the plaque was done over the white hydrangea in a deep pink rose petal. Then in the center, a lighter pink. And then for the lettering, a slightly deeper pink. Finished piece, so pretty in its flowing form. It was mounted onto a canvas frame and the edges sealed. And we'll be able to enjoy it for many years to come.